Hello there, everybody. Today, what we are doing is a timeless reading so that it can be used whatever day you happen to come across it, whatever day you happen to search for it, that it might be applicable for you. And so, what we're going to look at is the answer to the question of what is the other person's response going to be once they see the last message that I sent to them or hear the last message that I sent to them. So that's what we're going to be looking at for each of you. We've got 4 different options, so it may even be that you can use this video again in the future, and just a different option might be the answer for you. But how these work is basically you want to take a peek at the decks that I have shown and figure out which deck is the one that calls to you the most. That's going to be your answer. And if you have more than one deck, then you may have bits and pieces of different answers. So you may want to, listen into more than one answer if more than one deck is calling to you. And how I've numbered the decks is, so if you're looking at the picture, then deck 1 is the furthest to the left, deck 2 is right next to that, deck 3 is right next to that, and deck 4 is the furthest all the way to the right. So that's how we have these numbered. I'm going to go ahead and start with the first deck, and we are going to see what your answer to the question is. How is my person responding to the last message that I sent to him or her? That's the answer that we're looking for you. I know that I've had moments when I have wondered that myself, and I just thought it would be kind of fun to put together a video that would give some kind of answer to that. So let's take a peek. We're going to look at initial response first, and then we're going to look at after they've thought about it, the response. So basically we're looking at the initial reaction, and then after they've thought about it, where are they with that? So if you have picked card or deck 1, what we're looking at right now for initial response is that this person is not making any kind of long-term plans. And I think they're not making any kind of long-term plans about coming back together with you, or maybe even about reaching out to you. They're not making any kind of long-term plans about this. They may be thinking something in the short term, like maybe try to get back together and see how it works and stay very much, in the moment, but not making any long-term plans, not saying, okay, let's get engaged or anything like that. And it looks to me like whatever the message is that you sent is not exactly inspiring healing in the initial response. Their initial response is that it kind of makes things maybe even a little bit worse, things between you maybe a little bit worse. So interestingly enough, I do think that even though they're feeling like the message makes things a little bit worse, they are considering this idea of maybe we can get back together, maybe we can work things out, but they're not really holding their breath. They're just going to kind of take things moment by moment, if they even do that. And I feel like that's pretty shaky because of this whole idea that whatever your message is was not something that's actually bringing healing to the situation. Now, once they've had time to actually think about this message a little bit, it looks to me like they are willing to put in some energy and effort towards communicating with you, towards seeing where this goes, towards getting back together. So they're willing to put in energy and effort. That's a step up from the initial response. Or the initial reaction. Now they're responding in the way that says, you know what? Okay, I'll put some effort towards seeing where this goes. At the same time, though, they're feeling like you have shown your true colors now, and I think that they've kind of taken you a little bit off the pedestal, where maybe if they had you on a pedestal before, now you're not on the pedestal. Now they're seeing you as more of a normal person, not a saint, not an angel, but more of a normal person. So their perspective about who you are and how you behave has changed, has come down. However, I still feel like this person, even with that perspective change, still recognizes the fact, even if they only recognize it to themselves, they recognize the fact that they still love you. So, and I think because they still love you, even though they're recognizing that, okay, you're not a perfect person, they're willing to put energy and effort into moving forward with you once they've had time to think about it. It's a little shakier. The immediate response is a little bit shakier than that. But once they've had time to think about it, then they show up as being more willing. Okay? So that was for deck 1. Next, we're going to look at deck 2. Now, deck 2, just so you guys know that you're on the right page, deck 2 is the one that had the Onicera stone sitting on top of it. Okay? And it looks like this. All right? So let's look at the answer for deck 2. For the people who chose deck 2, the answer to what will their response be to the last message that I sent to that person. So this is going to be, I'm going to look at the initial reaction to that last message, and then I'm going to look at the response after they've had a little bit of time to actually think about that message. So initial reaction will be the first thing we put down, and then the response. All right, so let's start with the initial reaction. So I feel like with the initial reaction, you start out with the world in reverse. By the way, this is my Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg. World in reverse says, that is not what I wanted them to say to me. So their initial reaction is, that's not what I wanted to hear. Not what I wanted to hear. And Death card is next. This tells me that they're ready to quit communication with you. They're ready to call it done. They feel like the communication to continue on would be fruitless. And what's the communication that they're ready to shut off? The communication about the two of you coming together and celebrating, being family. This can be considered a marriage card. So they're ready to stop talking about marriage. If that's on the plate, they're ready to stop talking about the two of you spending time together that you really enjoy. They're ready to stop talking about the two of you coming together as family or with family. This card can definitely have a family connotation. Whatever you sent to them as their last message is one that they're just like, that's the last thing I needed to hear. Okay. Now, that's their initial reaction. Let's see what happens after they have a chance to think about it, because we all know our initial reactions sometimes our feelings can change from those once we calm down a little bit and get grounded. So let's look at the reaction after this person has had some time to think about this. The first thing that comes up, Two of Clubs. They have a choice, and they know they have a choice about how to respond to this message. And their choice is, do I respond? Do I not respond? All right. The Queen of Swords in reverse is what comes up next. Queen of Swords in reverse really says that this person has decided what they're going to do, and that is that they are not responding. They are ready to cut you out of their life. They are just done. Okay? And then last card up for the response after time is the Sun. Now this tells me, when it's combined with these other two cards that we saw ahead of time, what this tells me is that they feel like they will be much happier if they don't respond, if they cut off communication with you. So it looks to me like their initial reaction really has solidified more as they had time to think about it. So I would not expect an answer to whatever message or communication that you sent this person last. They're not impressed. Okay, I hate to say that because I know you wouldn't be watching this video unless you wanted a different answer than that, but that's where they are, and there's really no getting around it with those cards. Okay, so next we're going to look at the response for those of you who chose deck 3. So deck 3, what we're talking about is this deck that looks like this, and it had this stone sitting on top of it. Okay. So deck 3, and what we're asking for those of you who chose deck 3 is, how is the other person going to respond to the last message or communication that I sent to him or her? That's what we're going to be looking at here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the initial reaction, and then I'm going to look at the response after they've had time to think about it a little bit, because we all know initial reaction may not be the same as the actual response once there's been some time to think things through a little bit. Sometimes things have to cool off first. Okay, so initial reaction. By the way, this is my Chrysalis Tarot. And the response. Okay, we're going to look at the initial reaction first. Initial reaction is the Knight of Spirals. This person may try to turn this into a joke. They may try to lighten things up. This is somebody who likes to have people laughing and smiling and happy. Very social, very outgoing person. So I think part of the initial reaction is that they want to lighten things up. They want to make it into a joke. They're not feeling very energized by your message. Whatever your message is, it's surely not motivating them to move forward, not motivating them to make any changes, and not really motivating them to want to respond to you, really. And we've got the Ten of Mirrors in reverse. This is a message that is not making them very happy at all. This is not the kind of thing that they want to have as a part of their day, that they have to deal with or, interact with somebody that's coming at them in the way that you've come at them in your message. And so it looks to me like with them trying to lighten the mood, I think they're trying to, they're really not thrilled about this message. They're trying to make light of it because they're trying to, I think they're trying to lighten up the whole situation, actually, and make this something that they're much more willing to deal with, something that's much lighter than what it's coming across to them. And so they're basically wanting to sort of play it off. They're wanting to make you laugh so that they don't have to actually address whatever it is that you brought up in this message. Now, let's look at the response after they've had time to think about this message. The first thing we have showing up is the Four of Mirrors. They're having a little bit of a pity party with this card. It just basically says, why me? This doesn't seem fair. Why is this an issue? Why is this a problem? I just don't understand. And then we have the Poet showing up in reverse. This is somebody who is expressing things in kind of an ugly way, kind of angry. This person could be shouting. They could be sending you messages back that are not the most positive in nature, to say the least about the most, leading into the Five of Scrolls. This is all-out fight. Not necessarily physical fight. Can't take that off the table, but not necessarily. For most of you, it wouldn't be. But definitely, this is argument. This is whatever you have said. They're not happy about it. They're trying to play it off. Looks to me like you're not letting them play it off. And they don't feel like this is fair. And it's making them really angry, sarcastic, cutting. And they are going to fight this because they think that whatever it is that you've said in the last message is just wrong. It's just wrong. And so they're going to fight this. This is not something that leads to a peaceful resolution. Whatever message you sent is not going to lead to a peaceful resolution. And I'm not knocking your message, and any of these, I'm not knocking whatever your last message was, because sometimes people respond in a way that doesn't make sense. Sometimes people take things in a way that we never intended them to, and then they respond in ways that don't really go with how we sent a message along. So I'm not knocking your message, but I am saying that the way this person is seeing it, he or she is seeing this is fighting words. It's on, you know. Okay, let's look next at our fourth deck of cards. So this is my Wildwood Tarot, and this is the stone that I had sitting on top of it for the picture. Not even sure what kind of stone that is. I wish I knew. I actually found it on a trail one day. Really pretty tumbled stone. So anyway, sidetracked. Let's take a peek. For those of you who chose deck number 4, let's see what your answer is to the question, how will they respond to the last message or communication that I sent to him or her? What will their response be? So I'm going to look at this two different ways. I'm going to look at this as the initial reaction. What's their initial reaction? And then we're also going to look at what is their actual response after they've had time to think about the last message or communication that you sent them, because sometimes those don't match up. Sometimes once we calm down, cool down, then our response may change. So we want to take a peek at the initial, and then also we want to take a peek at what they say, what they think, what they feel after they've had time to think about it. All right. Okay, so let's take a peek here for deck number 4. The initial reaction, we start off with the 4 of Vessels. By the way, Wildwood Tarot. 4 of Vessels, this is telling me that they're kind of having a pity party. They're like, why me? Why is this person accusing me? This doesn't seem fair. This is not right. How come I have to go through this? That's the first part of their initial reaction. Then we have the healing card showing up in reverse. This is telling me that whatever your message is, this message that you have sent across is not something that is encouraging healing in the situation between the two of you. In fact, what I'm hearing is it's actually going the opposite direction. It's putting more of a rift between the two of you than taking anything away. And then our last card, we have the Otter showing up in reverse. This is telling me that this message really confuses this person. This person is trying to make a decision based on this last communication that you've sent to them. And their head is telling them one thing, their heart is telling them another, and they're having a hard time making up their mind about which direction they really want to go here. So considering that they're feeling self-pity and they're feeling like you've put a bigger rift between you and them than what there was before, the fact that they're really confused about what to do with this in the initial reaction says that they must have some pretty strong feelings for you to still be considering that, oh, you know what, I want to go back for more of that. So that's an interesting response there, okay? And for those of you who really care about this person, that really says that this person must really care about you as well, for them to feel, really they're feeling attacked here and still be thinking about coming back for more, okay? Now, let's look at, after they've had a chance to think about things, what they're actually deciding, what their actual response is. And we do see what they're deciding here. So they've decided to follow their own intuition whenever it comes to this situation. And following their own intuition means that they are backing out of whatever situation that they have with you. So if you guys are in a relationship, if you're in a contract, if you've got a business deal going, they're backing out of this. They're feeling like this is not something that's going to get better. And then this last card just says they really have no more energy to put into this anymore. That all their energy to invest into this situation has been sapped. Okay? So I'm really sorry, guys, but, if I don't tell you the truth, then you don't have anything to work with. So anyway, this wraps up this reading. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate you all. Have a fantastic day. And if I don't see you soon for a private reading or Reiki session, then I'm sure I'll see you back on the next video. Peace out.